We'll be discussing about nutrition metabolism in this class. So we'll see the nutritional importance of carbohydrates. You know, our diet mainly contains carbohydrates, proteins and lipids. So why we are eating these carbohydrates? What is the nutritional importance of carbohydrates? If you see, you know that the carbohydrates are the chief dietary sources of energy, are the chief sources of energy, and these dietary carbohydrates are mainly responsible for the generation of energy in the body. About 60 to 70% of total energy required by the body contributed by carbohydrates. So carbohydrate rich foods are cheap, economically affordable for many people. So our major diet consists of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, if you see utilized carbohydrates and non-utilized carbohydrates, like that we can see. Utilized means the carbohydrates which we eat can be utilized by the body. And there are some carbohydrates which cannot be utilized by the body, but still we consume such kind of carbohydrates. Utilized carbohydrates, if you see example, starch, like the rice, potato, wheat, they are mainly rich in starch. So that is utilized by the body. So starch is digested into amylopectin and amylose. Further it is digested to release the free glucose, and which is absorbed in the intestine by the body, utilized by the body. And if you see, there are some carbohydrates which are not utilized, they are not digested by us. Example, if you see cellulose, pectins and certain types of gums which are made of carbohydrates are present in the diet, but they cannot be utilized by the body. So they are not digested in the gastrointestinal tract, so they cannot be utilized by the body. If you see the functions of carbohydrates, major sources of energy. Carbohydrates are the major sources of energy. They have a sparing action on protein. Absolute requirement by the brain is there. You know that brain continuously needs glucose for energy purpose. So carbohydrates give finally glucose. So carbohydrate source provides glucose to the body, and this glucose is mainly required for brain and RBC. Is the only source of energy for brain is glucose. Then it is required for oxidation of fats. Carbohydrates are required for the oxidation of fats actually. So fats burn in a fuel of carbohydrates. So it is called as fats burn in a fuel of carbohydrates. Burning of fat requires carbohydrates. So excess utilization of fat coupled with deficiency of carbohydrates leads to ketosis. Energy supply for muscle work. If you see, the muscle contraction is mainly because of the presence of glycogen. You know that glycogen is stored in liver and muscle, skeletal muscle. The muscle glycogen is broken down to lactic acid to provide energy for muscle contraction during exercise. So carbohydrates supplies energy for the muscle work. Now synthesis of pentoses. Pentose sugars are synthesized in the body by HMP pathway, HMP shunt pathway, for production of coenzymes and nucleic acids. These pentoses are required for the production of nucleic acids, and certain pentoses, they act as coenzymes, and NADPH is also produced in HMP pathway. This is a pathway of carbohydrate metabolism. So that is why carbohydrates are very important to the body. And synthesis of non-essential amino acids also takes place from the carbohydrate intermediate products that are formed during carbohydrates metabolism. This is also required for fat synthesis. And importance of non-digestible carbohydrates is also there, since they are not digestible but still they are useful for the body. Now if you see the sources of carbohydrates, table sugar is about 99%, cereals 60 to 80%, pulses 50 to 60%, and if you see roots and tubers of certain plants, they also consist of good sources of carbohydrates. Then bread also is a good source of carbohydrate. So these are the major sources of carbohydrates which we consume. And requirement of carbohydrates to the body, if you see 60 to 70% of total calories required by the body is contributed by carbohydrates, In a well balanced diet, at least 50% of the caloric needs of the body should be met from carbohydrates. In a well balanced diet, at least 50% of the caloric needs of the body should be met from carbohydrates. So if you see the non-digestible carbohydrates, like fiber in nutrition or dietary fiber. Now if you see, dietary fiber is the name given collectively to undigestible complex carbohydrates present in the food. So the undigestible complex carbohydrates that are present in the food are referred to as dietary fiber. For example, lignin, cellulose, hemicellulose, pectin, gums, mucilages are mainly not useful, not digested in the digestive system, but still they are useful and they are referred to as dietary fiber. So dietary fiber, again you can classify into two types. One is water soluble and water insoluble. Water soluble fiber, if you see gums, pectin, mucilages, these are all water soluble dietary fiber. And water insoluble dietary fiber, if you see lignin, cellulose and hemicellulose, these are water insoluble dietary fibers. Now some of the dietary fiber like pectins, gums, can be digested by the intestinal bacteria. Beneficial effects of dietary fiber, if you see, it prevents constipation. It maintains normal motility of gastrointestinal tract. And helps in preventing constipation. Now if you see the dietary fiber, this eliminates bacterial toxins. Dietary fiber absorbs lot of water and toxic compounds produced by the intestinal flora. So the toxins of bacteria can be eliminated with the help of dietary fiber, since it absorbs lot of water, so can be excreted from the body. And dietary fiber, if you see, decreases gastrointestinal cancer rate. So there is a gastrointestinal cancer. The prevalence of gastrointestinal tract cancer can be reduced by the usage of this dietary fiber. So if you eat more fiber, it can reduce the colon cancer. Now it improves glucose tolerance. By eating more fiber, what we will get, it improves the glucose tolerance by decreasing rate of absorption from the intestine. So the glucose tolerance can be improved if you have adequate quantities of dietary fiber in your food. Now dietary fiber helps in reduction of plasma cholesterol level. So it decreases the plasma cholesterol level. Fiber reduces absorption of cholesterol. So it adheres to the bile salts and reduces enterohepatic circulation of bile salts. Dietary fiber helps in bringing satiety. So it forms bulk of the food and sensation of fullness. This is called satiety. Now satiety is achieved without consumption of excess calories. So those are the beneficial effects of the dietary fiber. And if you see the adverse effects of dietary fiber, the digestion and absorption of proteins are adversely affected. The intestinal absorption of certain minerals is decreased, and intestinal bacteria ferment some fiber, causing flatulence and discomfort. So if you see the sources of dietary fiber: fruits, leafy vegetables, whole legumes, rice bran, and vegetarian they consume more fiber compared to non-vegetarians. So vegetarian dietary sources are rich in fiber, like fruits, leafy vegetables, whole legumes, rice bran. It consists of lot of fiber. Non-vegetarian, there is no fiber. So daily intake of about 30 grams fiber is recommended for everybody. Next, the glycemic index. It is defined as the area under the blood glucose curve after the ingestion of a food compared with the area under the blood glucose curve after taking the same amount of carbohydrate glucose. So there are certain foods which are rich in carbohydrate sources, and if you eat such kind of foods, what will happen? The absorption of glucose is increased. So glycemic index is defined as the area under the blood glucose curve after the ingestion of a food compared with the area under the blood glucose curve after taking the same amount of carbohydrate as glucose. So glycemic index, if you can calculate for all the foodstuffs, this glycemic index can be calculated by using this formula. Glycemic index is equal to area under the blood glucose curve after the ingestion of a test meal by area under the curve after ingestion of glucose into 100. So glycemic index. See here, there are two foods have been compared, one in a red line, other one is blue line, and the blue line shows low glycemic index, the other line shows the high glycemic index. So high glycemic index means high absorption rate, it contains more amount of glucose. So if you eat high glycemic index dietary substances, your blood glucose value will increase. So it is always better to go with the carbohydrate substances with low glycemic index. Glycemic index of a complex carbohydrate is lower than a refined carbohydrate. Glycemic index is lower when carbohydrate is mixed with protein and fats or fiber. Glycemic index is lower when carbohydrate is mixed with proteins and fats or fiber. So here I have given a list of food items and their glycemic index. You can see glucose is considered as 100% glycemic index because it is purely of glucose. The other food items like carrot, you see it is about 90 to 95% glycemic index. Honey, it is about 80 to 90% of glycemic index. Bread, rice, banana, potato, sweet potato, orange, apples, ice cream, milk, fructose and soya beans. These are all the other food items with the glycemic index given here. So soya beans, if you see, it contains less amount of glycemic index. So it is better to go with the substances with less glycemic index so that glucose levels will be at a controlled rate. Okay. Many experts feel that high nutrient and fiber content such as occurs in whole grains, fruits and vegetables is a better guide than glycemic index for selecting dietary carbohydrates.